Welcome back to the Weekly News Roundup. This is week 2 of trying out fewer articles. Hopefully this makes a more concise show. Then I don't know. I haven't decided what we're going to do as far as should I save all those extra ones we boot out and have a separate quickly run through them all, maybe as a supporters only channel. I don't know. Then we also talked about it because we actually go through the articles on Thursday night after the stream's over, and we floated the idea of, hey, why don't we should record that process someday just so you guys can see the back end about kicking articles out. It's kind of fun. So I don't know, we'll think about that in the future. Let me know. But anyway, you can catch the show live Fridays 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so you can catch the show on over there whenever we are streaming it live, or you can just catch these edited versions down here. Well, let's go ahead and dive on into the news. We do have our regular 5 topics, although I think there's only 2 AI articles, but anyway, we'll get through it. So first up in privacy, hackers could track you across the globe due to a worrying smartphone security flaw. So what this has to do with is the IPX technology that's used to pass a phone from one carrier tower to another. And with that exchange comes data that companies can use to go back and forth to figure out who's doing what. As I'm reading through this, and my understanding, I'm completely open to being wrong on this one, so do a little bit of research. I think that this is really only a major deal if it comes down to people who are constantly changing their locations, people who are traveling a lot using the same phone, utilizing mobile carriers and roaming exchanges, because this deals specifically when you jump onto a roaming network. And so the IPX exchange, what it does is it swaps the data around, and this data is trackable. And so it is something that we probably need to start looking at. But at one, I just after reading through everything, I just don't think it's a huge deal as long as you're not entering into roaming periods frequently. But it is something that we might look into. And it seems to only impact smartphones according to this, although I'm not sure exactly why that might be. Second up, what Gen Z really cares about when it comes to privacy. I feel like we covered an article like this, but it is a brand new article this week. This comes from Malvertising, doing a survey and some research trying to figure out what is it that concerns people about the various elements of data privacy. Well, the older generations care about, people stealing your credit card numbers, and people stealing your social security numbers, committing identity theft, utilizing your identity for real world circumstances. Gen Z's like, I just don't want to be bullied online. Okay, I get that. And it's true, we don't want to be collecting data that will allow people to be bullied online. Obviously, that is bad. But think of this me generation, so narcissistic. They don't care if somebody hacks their bank account. They don't care if somebody steals their credit card number. They just care if somebody calls them the wrong pronoun on the internet. I'm telling you. This is crazy. But when you look at the various survey questions that they did, when it comes to more privacy concerns that have a cybersecurity overlay, Gen Z cares less overall, according to our research, compared to 51% of non-Gen Z. 62% of Gen Z agreed or strongly agreed with the following statement. I am more worried about my private information being exposed online, e.g. embarrassing, compromising photos, videos, mental health, sexuality, than I am about typical cybersecurity threats like viruses and malware. As privacy advocates continue to fight for the expanded digital rights amongst users, it is paramount that we understand how to appeal to a younger generation of future recruits. For Gen Z, data privacy fight is unlikely to deal with data brokers, Bluetooth trackers, privacy invasive web browsers, and that's the problem. Of course, it also unlikely to lean on the same concept of privacy itself. Instead, the fight for privacy may start from the inverse, the right to control what becomes public. So that is certainly an issue. I think that globally, universally, we should make it a simple cybercrime to be passing anybody's personally identifiable information around to each other. If I need to provide the minimal amount required to provide a service to somebody, then there is no other data to be passed around. all of these companies rely on this framework that's like, we care about your privacy. And all of their quote unquote privacy policies deal with is their ability to spread and share and buy and sell that information. Not about, we care about your privacy, so we're not going to collect as much. The big problem that we have, though, deals down to the Patriot Act and other laws related to it, with the Know Your Customer laws that requires everybody and their grandmother to know absolutely everything about everybody they do business with. That in and of itself is the fundamental problem. Well, the first thing we have to do is overturn that nonsense. That's the first thing you need to do. Because if you repeal that, I can go back to having only the minimal amount of information available on an individual person. What's curious to me is that Amazon somehow does get around that with their ability to fill up their Amazon account with cash going to convenience stores and gas stations across the country, to dropping stuff off directly into the box. Last I knew, the only thing you needed to provide was an email address and a first name, and that is it. Now, that might have changed. I haven't set up an Amazon account in a while, but all of that deals with these issues that Gen Z cares about. The first primary thing we need to do is make it illegal to share anybody's personal information across the internet. To make that a cybercrime, just like Sam Bankman-Fried just got found guilty of all of his accounts, all his 7 felony accounts. He's looking at 120 years in prison for what he did. Yeah, I think that anybody buying and selling anybody else's personal identifiable information should probably be liable for such a thing. You know, we don't want to lock away people who actually beat people silly to a pulp on the ground. Let's just go ahead and lock them away for cybercrimes. That seems to be what we do. Oh, you raped 16 women? $500 signature bond for you. You stole a credit card. Go to jail for 60 years. Yeah, that's the fundamental problem with our system. Moving on. Got to get off this soapbox here. Privacy will die to deliver us the knowing and thinking computer. Yes. And this isn't as much news as much as it is more of a general thought process article about a lot of different elements with, the reason why we're never going to get good privacy laws is because we are so willing to give up every bit of data about us for the sole purpose of just having a better convenience or a better user experience. Like Amazon is doing some augmented reality, so you can put on these glasses and upload a picture of your kitchen to Amazon, and then you'll see exactly what that toaster would look like sitting on your counter. You know, if you needed to upload a picture of your kitchen to Amazon to see what a toaster would look like on your counter, you have mental problems. You need to go see somebody about that. I mean, really. All right, so privacy will die to deliver us the thinking and knowing computers. And he gets into two big services here we need to look into. Humane's AI Pen and an AI Memory Rewind, which is launching an ability to track not only your digital life, but your physical life as well. Utilizing all this kind of stuff to talk about the various things. This gets itself perilously close to the Selfish Ledger, which we've talked about in the past. And in the Selfish Ledger, of course, was a leaked document or a leaked video out of Google. It was an internal Google video, which talked about the 3 basic phases of the data collection. The first is to get everybody so used to and even addicted to using their system and their servers so that they had effective control. Phase 2 was to utilize the AI technologies to augment the data, like basically patchwork the data to figure out which data points were missing. The example they use is you don't know somebody's weight, so you find a smart scale and you sell them a smart scale. So now the smart scale, your weight information is now floating around somebody's servers, allowing them, the previous conversation, buying and selling and trading data. Or it's probably a company that either is owned by Google or will be owned by Google in the near future, so they'll have that data. So the first step was to get people so used to and reliant on the technology. Phase 2 was to use the advertising to push for products and services that would augment their data, that would fill in the gaps of their data. Phase 3 is to use all this data against you to drive you in the thought process and the direction the company would like you to go. It is literally a modern form of mind control. That is exactly what the Salvage Ledger was about. Well, that's kind of what they're talking about here. The problem is that not enough people are willing to stand up and go, stop, and that really is an overall principle there. Death of privacy has been called off, counted, and repeated many times over the years. They say, of course, here, just Google the phrase. No, do this phrase on an internet search engine that's not Google. See, this is the TechCrunch itself is part of the problem in pushing, just Google the phrase. No, we need to get Google out of the zeitgeist of the modern world. That's really what the principle is. All right, and so search it up on an internet search engine, whatever one that would be. Please don't be the G. Whatever that would be, please don't be the G. Someone might make a poem or a song out of that. I don't know. In response to any number of technological advances, including things like mobile device live location sharing, the advent and eventual ubiquity of social networks and their resulting social graphs, satellite mapping and high-resolution imagery, massive credentials and personally identifiable information, leaks, and much, much more. It deals into the generative AI. It deals into all of the different companies surrounding about it. All of this is happening because we want the convenience more than we want the privacy that we have in our life. And the net result of such things is that we are willing to give up all of our privacy for the technology that is going to destroy us. And we have to push back against this. It's the only way that we survive as a race, is to push back against it. Because AI, as I said, at one point in time, we're going to add a fourth idea. AI is either going to turn us into total idiocracy, and we're just going to become a nation of morons that laugh at fart jokes perpetually, or it's going to destroy us, or it's going to enslave us, or it's going to imprison us. These are your options. So right now, I'm kind of leaning more towards that idiocracy for reasons I'll get into later on in the show. But the very point in the concept of privacy is an outmoded and insignificant one in terms of the world in which we find ourselves. Maybe we'll have something to replace it that preserves its spirit in light of a new paradigm. Other way, I think the path to AI's iPhone moment unnecessarily requires the death of privacy as we know it, which puts companies that espionage and valorize privacy as the key differentiator, like Apple, yeah, right, in an odd position next decade. There was some Apple stuff that came out. I looked at it quite a bit. I might do a separate video discussing some of the things, but I did decide to leave it out of the news. But the overarching principle here is that we are willing to trade our privacy for the technology that is going to destroy us. Well, if you want to help support the channel, we do use affiliates. Today we are highlighting ProWritingAid. You use my affiliate link there, tlm.li/PWA. And this is going to get you 20% off of the Premium Pro, there's a few different options here. You have the Premium or the Premium Pro. You get the 20% off of each of those. That is yearly, or you'll get 20% off the lifetime purchase. There's no discount off of the monthly purchase, but it still will help support the channel. So these guys here, we have unlimited word counts, unlimited phrases, 5 AI sparks per day. Not a huge fan of the AI, but whatever. Various advances in such things. And then we just have extra AI stuff in the Premium Pro. So that's terrifying. But anyway, I still do really like the service, regardless of the AI they're trying to cram into it at this point in time. I do use this to edit my books, which my next short story is ready for the editor mode. So I will be into ProWritingAid soon to edit it out. So tlm.li/PWA. With that, let's move on to security news. So this was a new malvertising approach. This malvertising wasn't intentional. This was an accidental malvertising approach. And that is what makes this one all the more comical. So if you know anything about Google Ads, and I've had to manage Google Ads for clients in the past, so it's like, oh boy, Google Ads, how wonderful. Let's check this out. So Google Ads has been pushing the dynamic search ads for a while. Dynamic search ads, Google is going to infest your site with its AI tentacles and hunt around high and low. It's going to create advertising that's allegedly super highly effective based on it. So you just turn on the Google dynamic search ads and then you let it do its thing, and then it will propose all these ads. You just, rubber stamp it, or hunt around, look high and low, examine every little bit of it. Most people just rubber stamp. Oh, it looks great to me. Save me time. Well, what happened is malware got on a site, which caused the website to start distributing malware. So the people who were running the site turn on Google Dynamic Search Ads. Google Dynamic Search Ads say, oh, look at this. This thing's all over the site. It must be important. And so Google Dynamic Search Ads created a bunch of dynamic search ads to push the malware that somebody infected on the site. That is just beautiful. And of course, this is the company that's penalizing you for not disabling your ad block, pushing malware through its platform. Yeah, I'll keep my ad block. Thank you. I have other ways to consume the videos. Those that are watching on one of the 4 other places we are streaming this to are aware of that. More about that one later. The compromised website promotes the software crack. So the ad just went ahead and turned it all on, and it's going to this dynamically generated based landing page content, which is a piece of malware. Clicking on that one ad now downloaded, I think it was like 9 or 10 pieces of malware to your computer. So there you go, guys. Don't click on ads. That might happen. So yeah, that's exciting. Hacked websites are indeed a thing. Probably a WordPress website if I dig. I didn't actually dig into that deep. Is it WordPress? Let's see. Word. Nope, no WordPress. It wasn't WordPress. At least it wasn't identified in the article. Florida man's back. This time, Florida man was arrested. He was arrested for a SIM swapping conspiracy that led to $1 million in cryptocurrency losses. So a man from Orlando was sentenced to prison for a SIM swapping conspiracy that led to the theft of approximately $1 million in cryptocurrency. 20-year-old man was sentenced to 30 months. By the way, this article, I'm pretty sure, is AI generated. Have a look at this amazing thing down here. United States District Judge Diane, whatever her name is, has ordered Perseid to pay $945,833 in restitution. Persuade was also ordered to pay $945,833 in restitution. Perseid pleaded guilty to conspiracy. Yeah, I'd say I generated. Whoops, we had the same sentence. Whoops. Man was sentenced for his role in the hacking scheme that led to a theft of $1 million worth of cryptocurrency. Basically, they were able to use social engineering to steal people's cell phones using SIM swap attacks. It didn't give us the details about how exactly he managed to pull that off, but then utilizing that and other hacked information, he was able to just get into a variety of people's crypto coin wallets utilizing the SIM swapping. So this is why I am not an advocate of utilizing your phone for things. It's way better to use a YubiKey or other means of security that do not include an SMS text message, which, by the way, that verification floats through the air completely unencrypted. And the last article in security, an AWS exposes, let's reread that article here. It boils down to AWS security keys, which you really definitely need to keep hidden. Well, what happens is so many people are incompetent with AWS that they tend to get on GitHub quite frequently. And so GitHub actually runs a program that scans everything, and it will take down AWS keys that get exposed automatically within 10 minutes. Well, some hackers were like, we got 10 minutes to work with stuff. And so they deployed their own bots around GitHub, and they were able to steal people's AWS keys in 5 minutes. So they're deploying their bots. GitHub is deploying its bots. AWS is deploying its bots. And it's a race who can get to the AWS key first. If GitHub gets there first, they scrub the key and the account is safe. If the hackers get there first, the AWS key is exposed, and now everything on that AWS server can be completely leaked. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, you got to make sure that you are actually hiring people who know what they're doing with code. Make sure they know how to use AWS. Part of this is AWS is very complicated to use. That is certainly problematic. And unfortunately, what I'm starting to see is more and more of these services are gearing themselves only towards super high-level agency experts, moving the ability to use these services out of the hands of small businesses unless you actually take a lot of detailed steps researching how some of these things work. And so that's kind of what they were doing here, is just the race to the AWS keys. And the hackers got there before GitHub did. So there's that. If you want to help support the channel, you can pick up a shirt or a hat or I got a coffee cup here. Yeah, look at that. And my hat up there also. T-shirts, hoodies, all sorts of fun stuff we have over at the store at shop.switchedtolinux.com. You can get an alien and a tinfoil hat. We have that in the day version and the night version. We have that on coffee cups. Then there's other stuff as well. We even have shopping bags. Actually, I have a shopping bag right down here, in fact. Yeah, look at this guy right here. There you go. If you're in a state like California, like I'm in right now, and they'll charge you at the grocery store for bags, you might need yourself a little shopping bag. There's a Switch to Link shopping bag there for you, too. Very nice. This is actually like 4 or 5 years old, still in perfect shape. So, not that I don't use it every single day, but it is one of my 2 bags I take into grocery stores when I go shopping. See, Switch to Linux saves the planet too, despite what you might hear on banned news. All right, shop.switchetolinux.com. Now we have just a couple AI articles here, so let's kind of talk about these guys. The first is the dementia patient in chief signed an executive order on AI, and there's some basic key takeaways here. And our basic key takeaways, first and foremost, for government contractors, any of them utilizing AI have to abide by these specific guidelines. Mostly the guidelines right now just deal with clearly labeling what AI is and what it is not, and to prevent leaks of deep fakes and things like that. That roughly is what it is asking for safeguards. In the private sector, employers will need to abide by newly developed principles and best practices in mitigating harms for AI, including AI mobility, privacy. There's also some things in here. They might be, other also things like no discrimination, no utilizing AI to discriminate in hiring and things like that. So healthcare providers will be required to use AI responsibly, including following new rules. Yeah, right. Educational sectors will be bound by new rules. Yep. Landlords and federal benefits programs and federal contractors must keep AI algorithms from being used to exacerbate discrimination. By the way, there is a deep-seated we're all racists overtone to this because, of course there has to be. Equity and inclusion in AI. Nobody's talked about the fact that AI is... I don't want to get there right now. Anyway, everyone must make sure to avoid algorithmic discrimination because the federal government will enforce. So, although there's nothing in there about how it will be enforced or things like that. So, pretty much it's a bunch of big scary words on a piece of paper that have absolutely no teeth, but for whatever that is worth. And next up we have, is AI appropriate for the use of AI or not? So this was actually a discussion, a debate among teachers in classrooms, particularly among the technology sectors, where, it's one thing if you use, the student uses AI to do all their homework and, history or something like that. But the thing is, if you if you're in like computer science, do you want them to use AI or not? So this teacher has found a good balance, introducing AI at places inappropriate to use them and restricting it in other places as well to teach the students that there's appropriate ways to use the AI and times that you don't want to use it. And if our whole world was responsible people who really, really wanted to get the best out of life and understand more, we wouldn't have a big problem. The real reason that this is a problem for us is because we have a society that doesn't seek to know or to learn or to understand. We have a society that instead seeks to finish the task so we can get out and play. We have a TGIF mentality. We got to do the minimum amount of effort to get our work done in order to go out and have fun. And as long as that is our mindset, we have serious problems in discussing educational trends inside of AI. And so with this interplay being done, I look at this and go, yeah, the problem isn't the education sector. The problem is the existence of AI. The problem is with the student and their desire to know. You see, we build our society to the level where it is because of people who had a driving desire to learn new things. And by and large, not exclusively, but by and large, that attitude is gone. And with that attitude being gone, people don't want to learn how to be a programmer. They want to get their programming assignments done. And so they cheat utilizing the AI, and then they continue doing that for the whole rest of their career. Well, when the AI goes away, you know, it's like the old expression, you know, when the tide goes out, you can tell who was skinny dipping, you know. You know, you're over there swimming there, the tide rolls back, and then woo, all of a sudden, you know, you start seeing some moons there in the bay. So that's the type of stuff that's going on here. The people who have a true desire to learn, they're not going to be taken in by this. And that really is the core principle that we have to keep in mind. And so that really is the gist of this. It's a fairly long article. It is worth the read. It's very, very fascinating to see what they were doing. Well, if you want to help support the channel, we do have a Patreon page, patreon.com/TOMM. That will help support the channel. So you can jump on over there to Patreon. Of course, that is where we will release roughly the 15th of each month. We will release a new short story dealing with trends in science fiction. Looking at all of our stories are based on things that are really happening in the world, and we take them to the extent to what could happen with them with the way the laws are written. So we write those stories. I think is this going to be our 4th or 5th one, I think, coming up here this month. And then I'll also usually do a standalone exclusive video talk about it. I didn't do the last one. That was last month's was an article that I wrote actually a long time ago. But it was still a really fascinating story. But you can jump on those Patreon or Locals or Subscribestar or Think Life Media. So all of those will give you access to those. With that, let's head on over to business news next. First up in business news, the EU has been harping down Meta's back about their ad stuff. And so Facebook and Instagram come out and go, all right, fine. We got a way that you can do us without this. Now, they haven't said they're not collecting the data still, but they have said they're not utilizing the data for ads. Once again, we need to get away from this idea that, you know, utilizing my data for ads is the worst thing in the world. Like, oh, good. They just stole my credit card information. At least they're not using my data to push me ads. No. But their response was to push out a plan that was extremely pricey. Now, I do remember if this is the same one they were talking about before, there was a single higher price you get to get everything combined. This article makes no mention of that. I think that was the same service. But you'll be charged $10 a month on desktop, but $12 a month on mobile. And they say the higher cost of mobile accounts for the fees that Apple and Google charge developers to use the app stores. And so you're basically paying either $10 a month or $13 a month to utilize these in a way that will not collect any data, but it's per platform. So if you have an Instagram and a Facebook, you have to pay twice. And it doesn't appear that there's any discount in the middle. So if you if you're basically looking at a single profile across each platform, you're going to be looking at paying about $240 per year for an ad-free experience, roughly $1,000 if you have two profiles and you want to be able to access them on desktop. So it is quite pricey, but Meta might be like, well, you guys wanted an ad-free option. Now you got the ad-free option. That's fine. So it cost a whole lot of money because right now the EU looks at us as their personal piggy bank, which I think is a problem in and of itself. But I don't know. I'd rather Facebook is forced to give all their money to the EU than Facebook continue moving on as their way they're going. I don't know. It's kind of crazy. But it is super expensive. But hey, they were forced to comply and create a platform. So they said, well, we're forced to make a platform. All right, we're just going to make it worth our while. And so there you have it. So do you think that you are worth more than $1,000 a year or not? That's an interesting thought. What's the cost breakdown? Are you making more or not? I don't know. Well, Google wants to help people with more math and science. So we talked about briefly in the AI section with AI and education. This is just moving us even further. Effectively, this article should be Google wants to help students cheat easier because the modern day ignoramuses don't want to learn the information they're going to school for. They want to get their degree and get out and have themselves a party lifestyle. And so what Google is doing is they're introducing new updates to Search and Lens. So Lens, I guess, is a platform where you can take a picture and search in that way. So now you can get help with math, physics, and geometry. All you need to do is take a picture of your math problem, and then it's going to tell you exactly what to do. Oh, there you go. Apply the sum of integration. Apply the constant math. Add the constant of integration. Oh, look at this. They're literally just giving you the solutions manual. They're literally just giving you the solutions manual for the problem. So you are now in calculus. You're having a hard time. You're just going to snap this guy here, copy everything down, submit your final answer, and there you have it. Obviously, the smart students or the students that really are there, very few of them these days. I was one of those students. I just had this passion drive to learn. So much so I was doing computer programming to solve physics problems and going into the computer labs when I wasn't supposed to be in there and compiling them on their C++ compilers. We were allowed. It's just extra fun stuff. But as a former college professor, I'll tell you that the number of students with that driving curiosity has radically decreased in the years, to the point where most people right now, they just want the final answer. They just want to submit it. They don't want to learn it. They don't want to understand it. All Google is doing with this new approach is literally moving our whole society closer to idiocracy. They're going to roll this out. I promise you, within 5 to 10 years, we're going to be laughing at movies that's nothing but a guy's butt farting. Okay, that's exactly what's happening here. This is it's going to help with story problems and word problems as well. Now you just type in your whole word problem and there you go. You'll get your solution there as well. So effectively, Google is just rolling this out so that, hey, now we can cheat on our homework better with Google. Awesome. I picked a good time to get out of teaching, that's for sure. And our final story for today in business deals with CloudFlare. I have had issues with CloudFlare over the years, and I still have serious issues with CloudFlare and how they work. Because they have become this dominant position in the internet. And anytime you have one company with a dominant position, it always spells out bad things. Well, it smells too, but it spells out really bad things for the internet. You know, Facebook takes over social media and everybody uses that. It becomes a fundamental problem. CloudFlare, unfortunately, is used in, is it like 60 or 70% of the internet house their servers backed by CloudFlare, which effectively means CloudFlare as a single company has control over massive swaths of the internet. This is a fundamental problem. If you want to look at a company that needs broken up, this is the company, but they're still flying completely under the radar. As developers, guys, you should not be using CloudFlare. They might have some neat services. We should look for other options. We should create other options because one company that controls as much of the internet as CloudFlare does is dangerous. And this week, it was yesterday, in fact, they had an outage. And their outage knocked out large swaths of the internet. Now, it happened because one data center had a power loss and the switchover data center didn't work right. So your always up guarantee, it didn't work yesterday. So CloudFlare, leading internet services security companies, recovering from the latest service problem. So basically, as I described, large swaths of their network went down. What happened is on October 30th, they rolled out a failed update to its global distributed key store value. And the result was that all of cloud services were down for 37 minutes. The new problem isn't nearly as serious, but it's been going on for over 24 hours. One person at Y Combinator put it, I never experienced a longer than 12-hour outage with any service provider in my 13-year career. But thanks to CloudFlare, I have been able to enjoy not just one, but two greater than 24 outages in not even a month. So as of 12:30 Eastern Time, November 3rd, CloudFlare reported it's still working to restore services. That is today, as we're reporting this. CloudFlare disclosed that the snags have affected a slew of products at the data plane and edge level, including log push, warp, zero trust, device posture, CloudFlare dashboard, CloudFlare API, Stream API, Workers API, and alert notification systems. Other programs are still running, but you cannot modify their settings. Magic Transit, Argo Smart Routing, Workers KV, WAF, rate limiting, rules, warp, zero trust registration, waiting room, load balancing, and health checks. Cloudflare pages, zero trust gateway, DNS authoritative and secondary, Cloudflare tunnel, Workers KV namespaces, and Magic WAN. So Cloudflare failures are a big deal. Cloudflare's field CTO tweeted recently, Cloudflare processes 26 million DNS queries every second, or 68 trillion per month, or blocked an average of 140 billion cyber threats. That is the good thing that they do, but the challenge is that they control way too much of the internet. These things go down, and now massive swaths of the services are either completely unavailable or you cannot change them to meet the needs that you have. So if you're in web design or server technicians and stuff, people in my position, you get clients that are using these things. Now you have a client breathing down your back, getting mad at you, and you're like, can't do anything. You used Cloudflare. Sorry. Nothing I can do about it. And so that really is the issue. And this is a really big deal. So I have serious problems with them. Well, if you want to help support the channel, we do have affiliates too. We are highlighting DigitalOcean. You can use our DigitalOcean affiliate link there, tlm.li/DOH for DigitalOcean hosting, or don't. I need another donut because I'm Homer Simpson, one of the two. But this will get you $200 in credit, good for 60 days to try the products. As soon as you start spending actual money on the servers, that is when they will start helping out the channel. So there is DigitalOcean. Of course, I'm using this to do some hosting infrastructure items, and I'm hosting some private Nextcloud servers for people as well. So that's what I'm using with DigitalOcean. Then I'm going to be moving some of my other services on Linode over to DigitalOcean as well. Balance out my load a little bit more. So with that, let's head on over to your favorite place and mine, SillyVille. See what's going on in the news. Well, first up in the news, the Tubies suspended the LAPD channel for posting a video to ID two perps. So basically, these two thugs beat somebody up on a security camera. LAPD says, "Hey, who are these guys?" And the Tubie says, "Oh, you cannot contribute to arresting two black guys." We're obviously not going to play the video, which is right here. They get the LAPD channel kicked off of YouTube. What are they going to do to me? I'm already on their naughty list. All right. So these people who have Not the Bee went through and looked at their channel. Their channel is still full of a lot of crazy, violent stuff, but something about this video, they flagged it and manually said, nope, that's down. They ended up having to, LAPD said they had to delete the video altogether in order to get their channel back. So now they're just posting it all on the internet, on their website. So there you go, LAPD. You can't post videos of two darker thugs. That might contribute to something. I don't know. So there you go. well, this Uber driver's brilliant. An Uber driver, he's like, I'm an Uber driver, but I just don't have a car. What do? Well, you go rent one. Problem is, when you stop paying your rental bill and you don't bring the car back, they kind of consider the thing stolen and they can remotely disable it. The problem is remotely disabling it doesn't shut it off for safety. It'll only prevent the car from restarting. So he gets a car. He leaves it running for 3 weeks without making any payments, probably hiding the car. I imagine these things are like GPS enabled, but he kept the engine on and idling for 3 weeks straight, just so that they would not remotely disable the vehicle. So then he can keep on making money off of Uber on a rental car that he hasn't been paying for at all. So obviously, they arrested him. It's, of course, another Florida man. They arrested him. Obviously, this is fairly criminal. So there you have it. But, more of the story is, I guess, don't shut the car off if you're afraid of remote start disable. I don't know. So that's fun. Well, DoorDash wants to test warning non-tippers that their order could be slow to arrive. So the tipping culture has now become so pervasive that DoorDash now insists that you tip people before you even get your service. Tipping is something you're supposed to do out of the generosity of your heart when you have a good experience. You're supposed to get in there and go, wow, that was a great experience. Like, I went to a coffee shop the other day. Now, I walked down to a donut shop. They had their seating section closed, so I leave. I go to this coffee shop instead, and I go in, and it's a very friendly, very wonderful atmosphere. Woman working there. It was great coffee. It was great service. I threw an extra $1 in that tip jar because it was great service after the fact. But if I go in there like, I want to see you tip me before I do anything for you, get out of here. And that's really what these big apps are trying to do now. They're like, oh yeah, here, I'm going to pay an exorbitant amount of money for food I probably shouldn't be eating. It's already exorbitant. By the way, I'm here in California. They just this week, I think it's the new laws passed where all fast food workers have to be paid a minimum of $20 an hour. So everyone's jacking their prices up even more. I'm going to pay 5 times what a McDonald's cheeseburger is to get the cheeseburger. And the delivery driver's like, I want to see that tip before I even deliver it. That's your attitude? No. But how long before they start spitting in your food because there's no tip over there? So here's what they're doing. So tip help motivate dashers to quickly accept your order. Here's his same thing, much like 2 or 3 times bigger font. Order with no tip might take longer to get delivered. Are you sure you want to continue? Add a tip. Continue that tip. I have a tip for you guys though. I'm going to provide you guys a tip. If you have this crap on your phone, hold the icon down and then until things start jiggling around and stuff, and then drag it up to the thing that says uninstall and close that crap. Get up off your butt and go to the fast food store yourself if you want fast food. Stop using these things. This is nonsense. And now they're trying to create this culture where we tip people in advance. No. If you manage to get my stuff here in advance, I'll give you a bigger tip. But if you're like, I want to see that tip before I even deliver it, you are an entitled piece of garbage. Piss off. I'm not firing you. No. Oh, boy. Well, it could be worse. You could be a Catholic and not know how to code. So the Pope is dealing with this problem. Pope Francis launches Code with the Pope initiative alongside an AI company to encourage students to learn programming. That's right. Now we can code with the Pope, guys. So this is in Catholic-controlled countries is launching a new program to help bridge the gap in disparities between poorer Catholic countries and wealthier ones. Right now, that's right, the Pope knows how to code, at least a little. His idea for the Catholic Church will help poorer people learn how to write the computer code. The initiative will champion access to the coding education through a free online learning platform geared towards students aged 11 to 15 across Europe, Africa, and Latin America. So there you have it, guys. There you have it. Blessed are the coders in heart, for they will control the earth. Okay. I mean, really, you got to get there. It's don't look for that. It's in 2 Tomm chapter 3, verse 2. But, there you have it, guys. If you're Catholic, the Pope wants to help you out. Give your tenants, follow him on Twitter, and now learn to code. How long before he grants out indulgences for those people who are learning to code? I mean, come on. This is 11 to 15-year-olds. This is right in that confirmation age. You can get your free pass to heaven just by coding with the Pope. Come on, guys. You got to do it. You got to do it. Well, if you want to help support the channel, we do have affiliates. Actually, no, today we're talking about Subscribestar. I'm sorry. We do have supporter network, subscribestar.com/switchedtolinux. You can jump on over there, help support us, and we will be pushing out the short stories. This week's short story deals with smart IoT tech. Ooh, it'll be kind of fun. I chose to write this one because it's the sticky note that fell off my desk. So, you know, like, yeah, I picked it up. It's a sign, IoT. Sure. So our short story is written. I'm working on editing it now, and hopefully we still have another 10 days, so I should be able to get that guy into the audio programs as well and get ourselves the audiobook out also. You can gain access to that over on subscribestar.com/switchtolinux or Patreon, TOMM, or switchtolinux.locals.com. Thanks for watching, and we will see you all next time. Thank you for watching this video from Switched to Linux. This channel would not be possible without the backing of the program supporters scrolling on the screen now. You can be a supporter at Patreon at patreon.com/TOMM or at thinklifemedia.com. I also want to thank the open source community who creates such excellent software that makes producing this show possible. Please remember to support your software communities. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.